Guys are this is an interesting group. Obviously, going through some changes from last year to this year relative to their staff and the systems that they're using, and definitely some players that have changed. Um, but explosive team, all three phases, no doubt. Playing well on defense right now. Good pass rush, very good pass rush. Play a lot of tight coverage. Pretty good in the defensive backfield. Surtain and Darby are, they may be, one of the best duos that we're going to see all year for sure. But they, keeping people out of the end zone, creating turnovers, force more fumbles than any team in the league so far. So that'll be a big challenge. Offensively, of course, Russell's. There's a lot of things you could say about Russell Wilson. Probably not enough superlatives over the last 10 years. This guy's won games, fourth quarter comebacks, completion percentage, quarterback rating, and he's starting to do it again. They've trailed in the fourth quarter of all three of their games, and he's brought them back and, won a couple of those. So running game's good. Backs are good. Both of them can make yards with the ball in their hands. Doing a good job of creating some big plays in the passing game with their receiving core. Tight ends all have made plays. And then the kicking game, kicker's got a huge leg. He'll try them from basically the logo on, and they cover well in their kicking game. And they got a good young returner who has averaged almost 20 yards a return in college, and he's already started to make some plays in the league. So hard at work, getting to know these guys. They're a little different than the team that we played last year, but looking forward to having a good day today.
Josh, Dan Orlovsky was on, I think, ESPN yesterday, kind of implied or maybe even accused Derek Carr of purposely trying not to throw the ball to Devontae Adams in situations where he was open and maybe the ball was intended to go there. But I just wanted to ask you if, A, if you're seeing anything similar to that, and B, are there ever any discussions where you say, hey, maybe we have to spread the ball around a little bit longer. It might come at the expense of, player A, even if player A is wide open.
I obviously don't know. I didn't see that. I don't know what he's referring to. Look, there's one ball. There's 5 skill players. Usually 4 or 5 of them are in the read somehow, some way, unless they're just full-time in protection. Devontae would always be involved in the read part of that. Sometimes he's the first one. Sometimes he's the second. He's very rarely the third, fourth, or fifth, but sometimes it is what it is based on the coverage. And so, again, we've seen a lot of different things in 3 weeks, much of which may not have showed up in the scouting report based on the way a team played someone else. So I'd say one of the things that's a new experience for everyone is when you create a report, a scouting report for an opponent, you can only look at what they've done against someone else. Now, you can guess what they're going to do against you, but that's, you're shooting in the dark there. So one of the things that's really been interesting, and I've experienced this a couple other times in my life, is that, the scouting report almost takes a right or a left turn at the beginning of the game because a team decides to do something dramatically different than maybe what they did against 2 or 3 opponents prior to your game. And so I think that, getting used to that, being able to adjust to it, and still be productive. And again, a good example would be Hollins, has more opportunities because of certain things that maybe someone did to try to effectively take someone else away. Darren was doubled a number of times the other day. Devontae was as well. Hunter's been doubled this year multiple times. So you can't necessarily predict it, which is why what we try to always preach is the most important thing we can do is read the defense, because if you're going to just assume that one guy is going to be open or, I have to throw it here, again, the defense always has a vote in that, and they get to determine how they're going to try to cover you. So I don't think anyone's trying to do anything other than move the football and score points. Sometimes, a double may occur, and it may look to somebody else like, well, he was still open, there might be 2 or 3 guys that were more open. And so that's part of the process. So we've talked openly to Derek and Devontae about this, and like I said, I've gone through this with a few other players, before, where you just have to get used to how you're getting played, because it's not the same as what you see on the scouting report or what you see on the tape as you get ready for the game. So I have no issue with either one of those 2 guys. They're trying their very best to do the right things always, and they'll continue to do that as we go forward.
Based on what you're seeing, do you feel like Derek is reading it correctly, seeing it, when they say talking about
Sure.
seeing it?
Sure. Again, and like I said, there's always opportunities where you say, well, he was doubled but still had a shot. Yeah, that might have been true. And we might have completed a few balls in that situation as well. So there's being right and wrong, there's definitely some subjectivity to that, and look, we grade every throw, we grade every route, we grade every read. And these 2 guys have a lot of confidence in these 2 guys doing the right thing. So, but it's a process for them. This isn't, we've talked about it, like they didn't see this together when they played before, in college. That's not what happened. So they're getting different things, and some of which Devontae's more used to because he's been played a little bit more like that. And now it's the 2 of them getting used to it together. And, we have a responsibility to help those 2 guys continue to be productive as well. So we're all in it together.
Maybe a small sample of 3 games, but Mack Hollins, are you even surprised? Or, I mean, I'm sure you're happy with this production, but even with a small sample size, does he surprise you?
No, not surprised. I mean, because of the way the effort he puts in and the way he works. He's worked like that since he got here. When we signed him, this was part of the equation. And he wanted an opportunity to try to compete on offense and be more of an offensive contributor, as well as all the good things he does in the kicking game. And so what a tribute to him that he's still making impactful plays in the kicking game and playing let's just call it almost every single play on offense. I think it says a lot about the character of the human being and the type of person, type of leader he is, because he doesn't want to come off the field for anything. I mean, if we told him you're running down on the kickoff team, you're protecting on the punt, you're the gunner on the punt team, you're rushing punts, and then you're going to play every snap on offense, he wouldn't even blink. So no, just he's taking advantage of his opportunities that have come his way. Obviously made some huge plays, and what an unselfish player.
You said that about Devontae, you said obviously he's going to be the first read or the second read. He's not going to be the third read. Has Mack worked himself? Has he earned himself into being one of the top reads?
It would depend on what the play was and then the coverage. And again, sometimes I think there's this is I don't want to bore you guys with this, but sometimes there's what we call a progression read. And you're going from one side to the other. Sometimes you're reading it as a coverage read. So if it's post safety, I'm over here, and it's split safety, I'm over there. And so depending on what the coverage is, sometimes the beginning of the read could change. And so Mack has definitely he's in all of them as well, because all the receivers really are at some point. But he's certainly taken advantage of the ones that he becomes an earlier part of the progression. There's no doubt about that. And he has been first or second at times, no doubt.
If I can ask you this question,
Yeah.
and I'm sure you're tired of answering questions about the offensive line.
No, it's all right.
If I understood more, maybe I'd be standing up there as a coach. In the preseason, we asked you about the rotations, and you said this is normal. We're not going to have the same 5 guys.
Yeah.
3 games in, and I get it, there's some injuries. You've said, hey, we're still looking for the formula.
Yep.
It's now 7 games.
Yep.
When's the formula work out?
I think when it's clear and evident, I think that's what it is. Look, nobody would like that to be more evident and clear than all of us in here. To say, hey, we don't need to do anything else. And I think the biggest thing for us is we've tried to continue to stress execution and competition in practice, which I know you guys don't always get to see anymore, and the games. And so the adjustment we made last week was, basically to try to find the right group that could play as one unit and, had no negative runs last week, kept them off Derek for the most part. It's a good pass rush last week. It's another good one this week. And so I think that there was definitely some progress made there. Andre was out again, last week. So, there's definitely an element of patience for that. I just think sometimes you want it to be done before it's done. Sometimes you want it to be simpler before, really the decision should be made. And so, I want that as much as anybody else does. I think we're just trying to make sure that we put the right 5 guys out there as much as we can.
When your team is in the midst of a disappointing stretch, it's easy to point out what's gone wrong. There has been good things too. As a coach, how do you find that balance of, hey, this isn't acceptable, but there are good things in that balance?
Do it the same way every week, and be consistent. They know that. It's football. We've been in 3 close games, so you're not in 3 close games against 3 good teams without playing well in stretches of each one of those games. So our players, and again, whether we have a good day or a practice that's a little less than what we wanted, or we play a game and we win or we lose, I think the consistent approach as a coach is really what I've learned is best for them. This is really good. We're really doing well here, and we need to continue to do that well. And these are some areas where we can improve in. And again, I think our responsibility is to provide them with, hey, these are some solutions here that'll help us in this situation. So just try to be consistent with them. And, the positives are the positives. They are what they are. And the negatives are the negatives. And so we're just try to be truthful, and open with them. And they do a good job of listening. And we just try to make the things that we can make better.
Yesterday,
Go ahead.
yesterday, I was talking to Mick, and he said that Mack Hollins was an amazing human being, even more than anything that he can do on the team as a player. It's very evident that he's a very interesting person. Do you have any stories or recollections that kind of sum up who Mack Hollins is as a person to you?
Yeah. I have probably a few of them, but, I look out my window every once in a while and Mac is running, to the facility. There's not many people that, use their legs to get anywhere anymore, but Mac's one of them. So he's a guy that, he's a free spirit, but he's got an urgency about him and an attention to detail about him that that you would ask every player to possess in the building. But he's also, boy, what a breath of fresh air relative to the things he's interested in. And I know he's talked about a fish tank and a zoo and and all the rest of that stuff. But that's real for him, and having snakes and everything else. He loves that stuff. Believe me, my daughters think this guy is like he's the top of the chart for them. So you get Devontae and Max Crosby, and those are great. But they're where's Mac? Where's Mac? Where's Mac? They just want to talk about Mac. So he just has great interest, and I think that speaks to the depth of the person, And you talk about him, what his role is here on the team. I'm not sure that there's anything he doesn't do. He leads. He practices well. He encourages others. He picks guys up. He makes big plays. He's tough, he's in great condition. Boy, like I said, it's hard to find people that are more determined to help the team in any way they can than Mac.
It's obviously been a while, but being a head coach against Denver, is there any significance to that to you?
No, other than it's a division game. Obviously, we want to try to get ourselves going here at home, first division home game. We're excited about that, but no, I don't. I've said this many times. They gave me a great opportunity at a young age, and I'm thankful for that, and learned a lot of lessons from that.
Being a division game, there was so much talk about this division coming into the year. Everybody was so excited about it, and
we're still excited about it.
I know, but it's been good. But it's not like it's not all the teams 3-0. Obviously, they can't be there playing each other, but the fact that it's kind of the pack isn't running away from you guys at this point, is that do you look around and say it's more you're not out of it yet, it's still kind of right there to be had? And
I don't think we talk about like I said, it's still September, and I think all three other teams, and then you throw ourselves in there. I can't imagine that there's any team in the league that's saying right now, man, we're where we want to be at the end. We're all. I heard something the other day, like the average. The scoring average in the league's at 21. I was like, whoa, it's a shocking, and that just tells me there's a lot of development and there's a lot of improvement And there's a lot of things that need to get better, and I don't worry about like, well, why is that, or where have we misstepped? Our focus is on trying to fix the things that we can fix and make ourselves better. But looking around and all that stuff is really it just distracts you from what you need to do this week. Man, this week's we got an important game, obviously, and and want to try to get ourselves rolling in the division, and that's where we're going to focus on.
You guys are nursing a few injuries, cornerback specifically. How do you feel about your depth at that position, just along the roster and also the practice squad they got for you guys there?
Yeah, I mean, you get challenged a lot of spots, whether it's been the offensive line or, in the defense. We've had some things like that crop up here, but look, that's what they're all here for. You know what I mean? And we're no different than any other team. No different. You look around and this guy's out, this guy's on IR, this guy's injured, he's inactive. The bottom line is we're gonna make a handful of guys inactive on game day, and the other guys are gonna go compete their butt off and try to win. So I feel good about all the guys on our roster and all the guys on our practice squad because I know what they're doing each day to work and get ready to go. I think this is a really important time of the year where you say, anybody that's sitting in that meeting has to understand, like, you may be elevated. We've elevated players in each game so far this year, and that would not shock me if that continues. So, they understand that it's not just 53 getting ready for the game, it's 69, you know what I mean? And if there's obviously somebody that's hurt and can't play, then all right, that's one. But everybody that's nursing some injuries right now, they're doing everything they can to get ready to go and get ready to play and get back and help their teammates as soon as they can.
Teron Harmon's been made some of your biggest defensive plays. What stood out most about him early, and if you have to use some of those young, inexperienced guys, is he kind of like a steadying influence back in the defensive?
Yeah, he's such a great preparer, and I think that he's a guy that has great experience, and he understands. And this is really something that's we talk about this a lot, but it's really a great thing for young players to really work hard at. Is your preparation can help you play faster on the field because you can anticipate. And that's a word that sometimes young players, they rely on skill and talent and ability, and they don't factor in the anticipation part of the equation. And, the play that Duran made the other day on the interception, that was, anticipated it, read the formation properly, made a good play. A couple of big hits he made in the Arizona game, same thing. You know what I mean? So, he now knows how to use that after so many years in the league to really provide himself with every advantage possible. And what an opportunity for those younger players, because he tells them and helps them in any way that he can. He doesn't hold anything back. He knew he was competing with them all during the entire offseason and training camp, and the only thing he cared about was if there was anything else he could do to help them get better. So great influence, and happy we have him.
Time for one more cue.
With the edge rushers that are coming to town with Denver, is it a game where you might have to lean a little heavily on the run game, if at all possible?
I mean, we all, like I said, we want to stay balanced. There's probably again there's some really good duos in the league. This one's at the top, and there's our division's kind of brutal that way. But when you talk about Gregory and Chubb and even the guys that come in, behind them, like there's not they're coming, and so. The one thing that I think that they've done a tremendous job of this year defensively, and Ejiro's done a great job of putting them in positions to do this, is that their ability to play great first down defense has afforded them more pass rush opportunities. It's the best defense in the league on first down, and so most of the second and third downs are in the pass category. And so, being able to be productive, regardless of what scheme we use or play we run, we're going to have to be more productive than what other teams have been, because that's what's given them so many opportunities to pin their ears back and go. Because the offense finds themselves in too many long yardage situations. So, great duo, play with great effort, really do a good job when they get near the quarterback. So we're going to have to do a good job collectively of playing the game the right way. Which a big part of that's going to have to be getting off to a good start in the series. First down can't turn into 2nd and 10 every time, or you're playing behind the sticks.
Thanks, Coach.
Good. All right. Yep, you got it.